When I was developing the Internet of Things at MIT, I gave a lot of talks about the Internet of Things, and occasionally people would say, we're also very interested in innovation and creating, and do you have any thoughts about that? Because you're leading an innovative project at MIT, and therefore, you must have something to say about that. And I didn't really initially, but I tried to figure out, well, what were my thoughts? What was my experience? And what I found over a few years as I sort of started talking about this more was there was a gap between what I had read about innovation and what my experience was. And the gap was really innovation as this heroic genius having a flash of inspiration and everything happening magically. And my experience was it was very hard. You made yourself very unpopular. There was a lot of conflict. There was a lot of failing, a lot of dead ends. There was collaboration, but not in the way I had understood it. Mm-hmm. And so I just started talking about that. Not really knowing, by the way, whether people would find that interesting or not. Because mine was like, well, I thought it was going to be like this, but in my experience it's like that. And what I found was, for some people, it was almost kind of like a religious experience. So like, oh my God, I thought I was the only person who had this experience of having an idea and getting fired for it. Mm-hmm. So it was very welcome, it turned out. And eventually, after doing this for a few years, a friend came to watch one of my talks and said, oh my God, why don't you write that down as a book? Because that's really interesting. So I did. And that's How to Fly a Horse. And turns out it's done very well. I think the other thing, and maybe you haven't read that far yet, is one of the things that follows from everybody being able to create. Now, I have to be careful how I say that, right? Not everybody can create to the same level. Not everybody can play basketball to the same level or, do anything to the same level. There's no human trait that we all share equally, but we can all talk and we can all walk and we can all create. What falls out of that, one of the things that falls out of that has proved very controversial is, creators can be white, black, male, female, gay, straight, transgender, young, old, from anywhere in the world. That freaks people out, it turns out. There's a very privileged sort of white male class who don't actually want to admit it, but they really think they're the only ones who should be expected to do anything good. Every country has its pride in being particularly inventive and innovative. They'll have their stories of their innovators that show that their nation is especially creative and some other nation just copies, and you get all this stuff. And as I travel the world saying, no, everybody's kind of the same when it comes to creating, that surprised a lot of people. But there's plenty of evidence that that's the case.